Howdy again everyone, and today we have a full-frame autofocus lens from a new Chinese company, the SongRaw AF 50mm f1.2, which is a part of their Moonlit series. It's for L-mount, Sony E and Nikon Z-mount mirrorless cameras, full-frame or APS-C, and its price will be $999 US. Normally, new manufacturers on the scene will tend to market a lens that's pretty simple or inexpensive with modest parameters just to get things moving, but SongRaw are obviously choosing the opposite strategy here, grabbing the bull by the horns and starting with such an ambitious design. A 50mm f1.2 optic only lets in about 33% more light than an f1.4 lens, but a lot of professionals are still quite happy to pay for that extra advantage, especially if 50mm happens to be one of their preferred focal lengths, and it is indeed a focal length that's handy for all kinds of jobs, being tight enough to give you a nice emphasis on your subject, while still just about wide enough to get some of the bigger picture in there as well. This lens can open up some absolutely gorgeous photo opportunities for you. $950 is obviously a lot of money for any camera lens, but it's actually less than half the price of Sony, Nikon and even Canon's original manufacturer offerings. Even the excellent Sigma 50mm f1.2 lens over on L-mount is $1.5 grand, so if this new lens is any good, it could be a very nice deal. I'd like to thank SongRaw for sending me one of these lenses for evaluation, although as usual this is an independent review and they've had no input into the video at all. Here is the lens itself, which as you can see is big, and at 900 grams or nearly 2 pounds, it's heavy too, although that's partly because the thing's body is made of metal, making it feel very tough. The also metallic rear mount also features weather sealing. There are a number of controls dotted around the lens's body. We get an auto manual focus switch, always handy, followed by an autofocus hold button with a pleasantly engraved design. Over on the other side we get a switch for setting the aperture ring to either turn smoothly or to click at every third of an f-stop, and beneath that there's a USB-C port for future firmware updates, covered up by a rubber stopper. Then we get a metallic aperture ring, which turns a little stiffly. As I mentioned, it can be set to turn smoothly or with gentle clicks. My copy of the lens turned smoothly in and out of A, or camera controlled mode, which is normally a little bit of a pain because it heightens the risk of accidentally setting the aperture to f16 while in use. But actually, the slight stiffness of the aperture ring seemed to mostly prevent this from happening. In front of all that, we get the metallic manual focus ring, which stands fantastically smoothly. In manual focus mode, your adjustments come slowly, but it does get you there. You'll also be able to see here that the lens exhibits a moderate amount of focus breathing in use. The lens's autofocus motor works silently. Its accuracy was mostly good enough, although I did get a few misses here and there. I'd say it worked accurately about 95% of the time, a bit less than other lenses, but still okay. Whether you're shooting an autofocus single or continuous modes, on my A7CR camera the lens's motor worked slightly on the slow side. This kind of performance is fine for most users, but it won't be fast enough for serious sports shooting or anything like that. The lens's front filter size is 72mm wide, and it comes with a good quality hood, which feels like it's also made of metal with a rubber trim around its edge. The lens does not feature image stabilization. Overall, this is one big, tough lens. Hefty for sure, but it works perfectly fine. Alright, let's see about image quality. We'll start by testing it on a full-frame camera, the brutal 61MP Sony A7CR. In-camera corrections are turned on for this test. If you want full-frame images zoomed into the 42MP ratio of my older reviews, by the way, for comparison purposes, you can find a link as usual to a special unlisted video in the description below. At f1.2, we're seeing very good sharpness and detail, but contrast is on the low side within those fine details, with ghosting on contrasting edges. Stop down to f1.4 for a considerable improvement in contrast, and at f2, the lens produces razor-sharp images with excellent contrast. Let's open back up to f1.2. Interestingly, the corner image quality looks better than the middle here, displaying excellent sharpness and contrast right away, and that quality goes into the mid-frame as well, actually. Obviously though, we are seeing darkness in those corners due to vignetting. There's an improvement at f1.4, and at f2 and especially f2.8 we see tons of sharpness and contrast from corner to corner, even at 61 megapixels, which is quite an achievement actually. The lens stays this sharp down to f11, although f16 starts to get softer due to diffraction. Overall, on full frame, this is a nice performance, especially considering the ridiculously demanding sensor of the Sony a7CR. Obviously, we wanted to see more contrast in the middle of the image at f1.2, but there's still plenty of detail there, and the mid-frame and corners are extremely sharp. Stop down just a little if you want critical contrast. Let's take a quick look for anyone interested at the camera's 26 megapixel APS-C mode, for anyone shooting on a cropped sensor camera. At f1.2, resolution in the middle of the image is only okay, ghosting is causing some low contrast. At f1.4, contrast improves, and at f2, we get a lovely punchy image. Let's open back up to f1.2 and look over in the corners. They look about the same as the middle, just okay. f1.4 looks about the same. It's only at f2.8 that those corners become really sharp. The lens stays this sharp down to about f11. So on APS-C, we're seeing just an okay performance at bright apertures here. This is more of a full frame lens, I think, really. Alright, let's go back to full frame, turn off in-camera corrections, and look for some vignetting and distortion. SongRaw have done a pretty good job of optically correcting distortion here, which is to their credit, although there is just a pinch of stretching to be seen in the far corners. At f1.2, vignetting is very heavy though, unsurprisingly. You have to stop down to f2 or f2.8 to see those corners brighten, as you might expect. Next, close-up image quality, and this lens can focus down to 52 cm, which is a bit further than average for a 50mm optic. At f1.2 though, close-up image quality is surprisingly okay. It's softer than at normal distances, but there's still a pretty clear picture to be seen here. f1.4 is only marginally better, f2 looks sharp though, and f2.8 is excellent, so that's a better than average close shooting performance. Let's see how this lens works against bright lights. There are manufacturers who've been on the market for 10 years or so without getting their lenses' flaring problems under control, but surprisingly, SongRaw have done a decent enough job here right out of the gate. Some flaring is there, but it's quite minimal and not too opaque. While we're working in the dark, let's take a look for coma and sun stars. At f1.2, a little smearing can be seen on bright points of light in the image corners. At f2, it's reduced. At f2.8, it's gone. Let's reposition the camera and take a look for sun stars then. The lens's aperture mechanism has a big 13 iris blades to it, leading to many pointed sun stars which begin to emerge at f5.6. At f8, f11 and f16 they gradually get bigger, although at these darker apertures the light source itself is creating a bit of a glare, which partially masks them. Now let's take a look at the quality of this lens's bokeh. It's an excellent showing here. Out of focus backgrounds are really soft, and specular highlights don't have any weird outlining or internal patterning to them. Nice, although they do have the usual cat's eye shape to them in the image corners. And finally, related to bokeh, let's take a look for longitudinal chromatic aberration. It's definitely there at f1.2, although this is actually about the average amount to see for an optic of this kind. It's still there at f2. It's reduced a bit at f2.8, but at f4 it's more or less gone. So overall, the SongRaw 50mm f1.2 is a pleasant surprise for this manufacturer's first offering, in that it has quite a lot to commend it. It has very tough build quality, and it's nice and sharp, although you do have to stop down its aperture a little for the best contrast. Its close-up image quality is fairly good, its work against bright light, not bad, but most of all, its bokeh is beautifully smooth, leading to gorgeous pictures at f1.2. Its weaknesses are that it's on the heavy side for sure, its autofocus isn't so fast, and I'll mention again, on a high-resolution camera, we could do with seeing a bit more fine detail and contrast at f2, although it's not bad. Owners of 24 or 33 megapixel cameras will have few complaints. Its biggest competition on L-mount and Sony E-mount is the recent Sigma 50mm f1.2 DGDN Art. The Sigma lens is objectively better. It's smaller, lighter, sharper, and has much faster autofocus. But this SongRaw lens undercuts its price by over $500, while still offering nice images at f1.2, which will be enough for a lot of people, so I can actually recommend it considering its price. Thanks for watching everyone. As usual, check out the playlist on my channel to find reviews that fit your camera system, and thanks to all my supporters on Patreon and channel memberships who get all kinds of bonus content for supporting this channel and my sponsorship free reviews. Take care everyone, God bless, and ciao for now.